I feel bougie. It will be just done all in one go. Done. This is gonna be controversial, I think, but let me open that can of worms. Well, hello and welcome. This is Better Fitting Knits, and my name is Lena, and I'm pearls knitting. I'm a knitwear designer, professionally trained to grade, edit, tech edit, and write patterns, and then you just on your own basically. So this episode will be short. This is episode number 4, and now let's dive in. Let's explain what happened. So why did I rename the Never Not Knitting to Better Fitting Knits? I didn't think it got the goal across or the message across, what I'm trying to achieve here. I'm trying to help you or myself to create better fitting knits. And that just, I decided to change the name right now while it's not too late. It's never too late, but right now would be good to do it. So we are back from our travel, and this video will be short because we're COVID positive. We're still not feeling very well, either one of us, my husband and I. He has different symptoms, I have different symptoms, but overall it's just not a good situation. And I get tired very quickly, and I get tired talking very quickly. So it's gonna be short. Today I am gonna probably cover a few topics, but fast. So first is what you see me wearing is almost finished. My new design that will be released hopefully by the end of October, but I'm trying not to push me and just rest a little more. And I wanna have the better or the best pattern, release the best pattern that I can release. So I'm just giving myself a little bit more time with it. What is it? I want to talk about construction and why this one was knit like so fast. So while we were in Edinburgh and I went to Ginger Twist Studios, I got quite a bit of yarn there. And when I touched this yarn, oh my gosh, this is so good. So this is alpaca and silk. This is DK weight. It doesn't meet the gauge of the pattern that I wrote it for. I wrote it for sport to finger and weight yarn. This one is DK and fluffy, and I feel bougie. So this one, I unraveled it about 3 to 4 times. This is what it looks like. This is color Gingeroo, and I just fell in love with the color. It's so good. I always travel with my Nastapina, just in case. You never know what you need to wind. And this came in handy because I wound the yarn the minute I bought it and I started knitting it. I didn't like some of it. I had to correct the pattern. I corrected it, then I didn't like something else. I corrected some more. I unraveled it 3-4 times, I guess. And this was the final, was done on a plain. So I just need to finish the cuffs to the sleeves. And let me talk about the construction and why it's so good and why it's great to even work it, to not even meet the gauge. You will be okay. So what is it? And I will dive into more of my construction of sweaters and how I do it. So the neckline, it's a top-down sweater, knit almost seamlessly, but this part is knit flat, and then you join it around, and you can continue actually knitting it if you want it not as cropped as I have it. If you want it, and I usually wear these things with tank tops or turtlenecks, some jeans, boots, shorts and tights, skirts. It's very easy to pull off a really good look, and it's warm. And it's, if done in, let's say this is alpaca and silk, and this one is just so soft. I would go for blends with some silk or some slip, but I will recreate it in, so I have ritual dyes. This is the linen cotton blend, so I will do it in this for summertime. It'll be great. And then I want to do it in linen, so I have shibui twig, and I will do it in this too. And when I was leaving Ginger Twist Studios, I saw this yarn and I just couldn't fit it in. We just couldn't take more luggage, and I knew there will be a little more yarn coming because we were going to Bristol and then Bath, where I really got more yarn anyway. So I fell in love with this, the colorway, and this is merino and silk. This will be perfect. So the video tutorial for this cropped sweater will be recorded in this, and it's ready to go. The pattern is almost ready. I'm editing it just a little bit. The size is flowing so good at this point, so I'm happy with most of it. All right, returning back to the construction of this sweater. This is cropped sweater. You can make it longer. You can make this part longer. Just keep on doing rows, and you can actually keep going. There's a few rows of 1x1 rib right here, but you can just keep going and create maybe not as wide, and just create a little longer sweater with the ribbing here if that's what you like. So it's a very versatile pattern. You can leave the sleeves as is if you want to. Maybe just crochet a little edge, or there will be a 3-inch cuff here. Kind of, you gather it a little bit. So let me address like a few things here for this design, and then I will tell you how to modify it if you want to. So it's worked seamlessly in around the neckline, and then let me show you this because this one is almost ready to go. So you start working the neckline in around, and it's a folded neckline. It's a tiny one, but it's folded. And I have a permanent fold here that I create. So this is 1x1 rib. This one is missing my usual horizontal seam, but it will be in a pattern. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it improves the structure of the sweater, and with time it's not going to stretch out. So this one doesn't have the seam. I just wanted to get it done faster, and I thought it will be enough. When you cast on stitches, that line creates a pretty sturdy seam later when you join it with the live stitches when you fold. And I decided to include the permanent fold in here, this, so it looks like a fold, and I'll show it to you on socks, and actually we'll have a separate video for that. So you will have a permanent fold there. Why? It's just the way it's worked. It creates a narrower fabric at the edge. What I mean by narrow is it's not as wide as at the beginning when you cast on. You will see it. It's very unusual. I like it. I'll have a separate video on permanent folds published soon. So after you do that and you work the seam, the horizontal seam, and I absolutely love my vertical and horizontal seams, and I include them into majority of my knitwear where it's possible. Sometimes I exclude them for pattern because I just want the pattern to flow and to be sometimes a little bit easier to follow, and sometimes it just doesn't make much difference. So in this design I would include it because I'm making it wider, and this is already wide because the gauge is wrong. This one, the gauge is on point. So the construction after that, after you work the neckline and the seam, what I decided to do, what I invented, I wanted the drop shoulder, but I do not like seams. One thing I do not like about knitting, actually not even knitting, seams. I do not like to pick up stitches, or I do not like seaming, because usually you're just a little bit off, and I just don't like it. I don't like it. I'm too lazy. I just want to do everything on the fly, on the go, all in one thing. So I never sew anything. I just do it on the fly. If it will be folded trim, it'll be folded, seamed in as we go. Seams will be created as we go, not later, not sewing anything in. It will be just done all in one go. Done. You just need to weave in the ends and block it. That's it. That's all you have to do. Sometimes, like in here, if I don't have any other option, which I could have created a cuff as I went, but because of the construction of it, so the way it's worked is sometimes I do provisional cast on at the very back. In this design, I decided to do it in the middle right here. So provisionally cast on stitches that will be on two cables. So you don't have to transfer anything. It'll be ready for you to go. So as you can see here, I have stitches on one needle for the front. And then the second needle, unfortunately, I'm in the middle of the row, is that's where the stitches were cast on initially. So this needle is still here. I can put stoppers in if I need these tips for the other one, but I'm working with two separate needles. I'll talk about it later. These are the copper ones, Lucas. Just experimenting with them and with amazing cables. Not from Luca, but they fit into Luca's needles so perfectly. So I'm using that. So this is how it's done. So what you see is first you work the neckline and then you provisionally cast on stitches here first for the right sleeve. This is the right side, this is the left side. And then you start working, so you have stitches for the back on the needle at that point, and then you start working that curve at the front neckline. You can see that they are offset. This one is higher for the back and the front is lower. And also you can see here, let me just put it on. When I work this flat part, I kept it in reverse stockinette stitch just to be easier on you guys because it's hard to follow all of the short rows and the shaping and the lace pattern. So I decided to keep this simple. And then when you get to this point and you start working more short rows from sleeve to sleeve, because what I decided to do is to remove extra, to shape the sleeve at the top, to remove the extra bulk here, and I wanted to do something easier, so we do a 3 needle bind off when the sleeves are ready. Right here, this is all done from here to here with a 3 needle bind off, so I needed a straight line. I could do the short rows at the bottom and then work 1 row and still do the 3 needle bind off, just perfectly fine, but I prefer the shaping done here. It just looks better, flows better. So that's what I did. A little mention here is in the next video, in my last episode, I promised to talk about body typing. I will talk about it in the next episode. I will just devote it to Kibi, explain how I learned about it, what I learned about my body, how it benefited me and my designing. So all of that I'll talk about in the next episode. This one is called Sassy. I absolutely love it. It's very easy to wear. And very easy. I hope it's very easy to follow. Let me know if you will work on this pattern. Keep me updated. Let me know if it's intuitive, if the pattern is, because the way I create my patterns, I do everything in Excel spreadsheet and I see the numbers flowing through all 21 sizes. And when I create a pattern, I used to do it in brackets for each size. I don't do that anymore. It's not very intuitive for the user. So what I do is just the way that I see it in Excel spreadsheet, I keep it that same way. It's in columns. So you have 2 PDF files when you get the pattern, 10 sizes each. 21, 21st size, the very last size, I keep separate. I will provide it on request if you need it. And for each pattern, I have video tutorial. So if you cannot follow all of that, find me. Instagram will be your best choice, or through Ravelry. Just email me and I will help you with the pattern and guide you through it. So 10 sizes each in columns. Each page has the header with the sizes, and under each column you have your size and you have what do you need specific things to do. So short rows, I don't hold your hand through each short row. It's very hard to write patterns like that. It's very error prone. So instead of going row by row, because it's easy, very easy to make mistake, I just tell you to, from here on to the end of the sleeve, I tell you to turn every 2 stitches, let's say for a specific size, every 2 stitches 4 times, then every 3 stitches 4 times, then every 4 stitches 9 times, something like that. So it's up to you to probably use stitch markers. Removable ones would be great. You will see it in video tutorials. I use stitch markers. I use them to the point of no return, and I just mark every turn, and it's easy for me to remember where I need to turn. I use German short rows. If you use anything else, just go ahead and use it, or follow the videos, my videos on German short rows, and that will shape that top part. So this is almost finished, and you will see what is the back and what's the front, because the neckline is wider here, so it's a little lower than I would like it to, but still it's pretty good. So this part is slightly wider than the front because there's not too much shaping here, and it's only done here for the back neckline drop. Basically, that's it. It's pretty simple in my opinion, but anyone who didn't follow my patterns before, it will be a little challenge to get used to it. But there's videos with help, so I hope it's easy. I hope. So that's all of that. How did I started designing when I was little. I started because we didn't have anything. We didn't have magazines. We didn't have much clothes or anything else like that, or yarn for that matter. But whatever we could find, we would just knit. And I started calculating, and I started knitting my own sweaters. And then I moved on. Well, first it was socks for my dolls and hats, and then sweaters. So, and then I evolved. When we moved to America, I still was knitting little stuff for my kids and my husband, and mostly for myself. But there was more yarn here, as you can see, you can tell, and then stitch markers and all that good fun. So I started doing that, and then I wanted to write a pattern, and I did, but the sizes were limited. I had no clue what I was doing. I was calculating in my notebook. I was drawing designs, and I wanted to learn more. And for some reason, I don't know how, I was on Instagram and I came across Jill Walcott offered a class on grading, and I wanted to learn grading and pattern writing and tech editing. So it was a half-a-year class that turned into about 1 year with a little break here and there. I think she still has 3 levels. I don't know. It was 5 years ago. So the first level, your basics, that takes you into grading, and then the second one is pattern writing / tech editing, and the third one is like more advanced. So I went through all 3. It took me months and months and months. but she taught me how to grade properly, how to calculate everything in Excel spreadsheet, and I write now my patterns in Excel. So instead of using Adobe products, it's easier for me to do it all in Excel. I know I can transfer stuff to Adobe, but it's just easier to keep it all in one document, and then I just PDF it, include my drawings, schematics, all of that, and release the pattern. So she taught us all of that. I will include her information in the comments below. I am not sponsored. This is just my experience. Anything I would say, it's not sponsored. This is where, like, if I will tell you about yarn, this is where I just buy the yarn or my tools, my needles, anything like that. She offers class. You can reach out to her. I will leave her Instagram handle and her website. She usually posts when she will have a class. She has those classes pretty often, and she teaches really, really well. I would recommend her lessons any day. She's pretty amazing. Very seasoned knitwear designer. She knows exactly what she's talking about. She explains how bodies grow and all of that stuff, and I added onto it when I studied body types, different body types, not how wide you could be or how thin you could be, but your bones and yin and yang, your flesh that sits on your bones, what kind of, so all of that just added on to what she taught me, and I continued with color theory and everything else. So it just took me a very, very long time to get here and finally be confident enough to start releasing patterns, because I kept holding them. I kept wearing them to see, do they fit right? Am I on the right track? Do the patterns read easily, intuitively? So I think about all of those little things, and again, it might be not for everyone. We're all different. We understand patterns differently. Unfortunately, we don't have a standard. So check out my patterns, see if you like them. And if you have any comments, send them my way. I would like to know what you think about it. So as I'm watching all of the podcasts and all of the beautiful knitters, because I've never seen a knitwear design that I didn't like. What I don't like is the fit. Majority of knitwear designers, maybe they consider the fit, but it's still not the right thing. So yoke sweaters, they're great, but we have shoulders, we have boobs, I don't want to see that fringe here. So we have techniques that we can use to avoid all of that mess and still have that beautiful sweater that designers design. And unfortunately, I don't know. So is it fortunate or unfortunate that right now we see designs releasing every day, I don't know, 10, 20, 50? A lot. It's a lot. So either we had that many designers and we didn't know about, or people started releasing. Do we always think about the end user or not? I'm trying to think. I am trying, and sometimes I'm trying to forego some of the things that I would have included in a pattern, so the pattern reads easier and is easier to follow. Is it good or bad? Would you want to have all of those little things, like would you want me to include the seam here so it actually will stay pretty stable, or you don't care? Do you like to have the piece of clothing that lasts you longer and will fit really well, or do you just knit because you like to knit and you like it the way it fits, whether designer thought about the fit or didn't? I don't know. I'd like to know. So if you have an opinion, let me know in the comments below. I read every single one of them. I'm so happy that somebody listens and watches these videos. I never thought that somebody would, but I wanted to speak up and and see if somebody's out there has similar opinions. And I found out from a few of the podcasters that I watch that yes, designers do think about fit. So the fiber tails, she's pretty amazing, and she has different techniques. So we all come up with different techniques. She has different techniques of building the shoulders for yoke sweaters, or it's a combination, I think, with every one of us. Yoke sweaters slash raglan slash settle shoulder, kind of combination of all of it, but still it provides a little better fit. So, and then a few more that I'm watching that I am so glad that people recognize that this has to be done, and are mindful and giving thanks to the yarn and people who's spinning that yarn, making that yarn, and dyeing that yarn. And we just abuse it so much. I mean, just we unravel it so many times. Good thing it's not fabric. You can just do it over and over and over again. But then we stretch it. And then, I mean, at some point, something has to give. So this is my thanks to the yarn for unraveling so many times. Just, okay, let's just create something that I will wear. This is what I would have created for my first design that I did that was very popular. It was like for a week in the first 5. It was done with it was similar design, but not shaped. It was just rectangular thing. So this I like better because it's shaped better. It doesn't snag on anything. The sleeves are not as wide. I prefer it this way. So, and then this part shaped. So I started shaping all of it in the last 7 years. I didn't release a lot of patterns. I was just wearing them, the heck out of them, just checking that yes, it's the right fit. Yes, it's what I want. And yes, this is the yoke design that I would want to try. It took me a while to figure out how to do it all in one go. A while. It's a lot of tears, a lot of happy moments, a lot of destroyed yarn. So this is that. Now, let's do something that I wanted to mention, and I wanted to release that blog a long time ago, but then something held me back. So, what is it? As we traveled in Scotland and UK, I was walking my Doc Martens a lot, cobblestones. I needed just really good shoes. And for those shoes, I made a couple of socks, which was first for me. It's great because I learned it's the same thing that I need to implement for sweaters, for the shoulder build and everything else, because socks, it's pretty amazing. So I made my first socks. I'll check the pattern, I'll list it below. So this was from the 52 weeks of socks. And that's what it is. Sorry, I washed it, but obviously I wore the heck out of it. I did that. I don't think it's part of the pattern. I did that because I just prefer it tighter around this part of the foot. So, and then I made these socks. This is from Clara Park's book. I'll link it below what it is exactly. I don't remember the name of the pattern, but these are two kind of different, slightly different. What's the difference? So this is gonna be controversial, I think, but let me open that can of worms. Let's go for it. So, because I like seams so much, I decided to make the seam here. So what you do, almost every sock has this transition from the toe to the body. This is the wrong side of this sock, right here. And what I did, this is what it looks like on the right side. This is the seam. So I bound off stitches and I picked them up. I do know that people are sensitive to those seams. in regular socks. And keep in mind, this is fingering yarn, not worsted, not DK, so the seam will be slightly thicker. I wore the heck out of these, and I wanted, specifically, I didn't implement the seam here, so you can see it's stretchy, and this one just stays put right here. So why the structure, and does it hurt? If you will try it, let me know. So when you get to this part, just bind off half of the stitches and then pick them up from under that bind off and keep working. That's all you do. I will have an article on this in my blog and my experience with it, and I will have a video released soon. I held on to it because I didn't think people will like it, but as I wore them, these, as narrow as they're much narrower than these, actually. These are wider, just to compare. So these are by an inch in circumference wider than these. These were flopping all over my foot here. At some point they got so loose, I didn't enjoy it. These held the shape and they stayed put on my toes and they didn't stretch. You know, like sometimes they just roll around the toes, that part of your foot. These were just perfect. I didn't feel the seam, but again, this is fingering yarn. So if you would dare to do it with a thicker yarn or the same fingering weight yarn, sports sock weight yarn, let me know how you feel, especially if you're sensitive to the seams, because I am partially sensitive to the seams. Sometimes they annoy the heck out of me. These didn't. They actually made this structure of the sock so, oh, I'm in love. So I would like to make a few more socks. Unfortunately, I have so many projects that I'm trying to finish. I am looking at my board where I have all of the swatches for the upcoming sweaters and hats and cowls. But maybe somewhere I will just choose somebody's pattern. If you have a good pattern for worsted or DK weight, a really good sock, leave it in the comments below. I would like to check it out and work on it and implement that little seam, wear it, and see if I like it at all. Maybe in worsted weight it will not be good. Maybe it will be great. So there's my little input on this. I absolutely love it. I will keep doing this. I will keep making that little seam, because this just makes that structure of a sock so good. And it's only at the top, not at the bottom. So the bottom, no, you will not have it. So if you're like foot, if you're sensitive there, it's not. It's just at the very top right here. And the way that you connect the stitches, you just wrap it around the next stitch, that one extra stitch, so it doesn't create any knots or anything like that. It's pretty seamless and smooth, actually. So I think I'm onto something, but maybe I'm not. Maybe some people would just say like, nope, no, not even trying, but no, not a good idea. If you dare to try, let me know. I would like to know your opinion. I wore them. I like them a lot. I like the seam a lot because it gives it structure, just like it gives structure to the necklines and the sleeves and the vertical. So for the raglan or satin sleeve, knit and around seamlessly, I have vertical seams that I implement. I am slowly working through the patterns that I've created over the last 7 years that I didn't release, and that I improved the seams for. And I will be releasing them slowly, one by one, and showing you how to create a beautiful cardigan, because I do not like cardigans when you have to attach something or sew something on. I just, if I can avoid it, I would. Because I'm lazy, because I don't like that to match those stitches. Because I'm so lazy, I usually work 2 sleeves at a time, 2 socks at the same time. I don't count rows. Very rarely I do. If I have to in a sweater, I do it. But most of the time, this is what I do. So that's it for this week. I'm gonna go and rest for a little bit. have some tea, and I will see you in the next episode. And until that time, create better fitting knits, feel better, rest, relax, knit a lot. See you.